Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
Yeah, I've got twins that are 14 and the youngest is 12, almost 13. So, wow, that hits home. That's scary, to think that
very much.
some kid would be, because you got to wonder at what junction they start going sideways, and it had to be 9-10 years old.
Yeah.
And, it's as sad as it is. A large part of that is because, there's usually only one parent in the house, and, that one parent is just in survival mode and just trying to physically provide. And a lot of times they just don't have enough time and resources to provide for the children in a way that would help them stay on the right path. And, and it just goes downhill from there. That is it's sad.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, especially as a resource officer, you always, this is kind of a side note, but the resource officers, to me, when I first started hearing about it, I'm like, oh man, that's got to be like the bottom of the barrel type cops that are, they don't have anything better to do, or maybe, they can't pass the physical test. And so they stick them in the schools. But in reality, I'll tell you what, the SROs are such a critical part of society, because not only do they keep the school as safe as they possibly can, just by having a presence there, but, the influence that they can do, like, one of my twins, the kid's a freak. He loves doing competitions with his friends, and he said, yeah, in front of the school resource officer, he did 1,000 push-ups, and it's like, he just got tired of his friends beating his record. It was in the 200s, and then he's like, all right, screw this, I'm going to just blow it out. But the fact that he was hanging out with this school resource officer, and this officer is making an influence on him, and just showing him that, yeah, cops can be your friends, and they can also be, like you said, a resource. There's a reason that they're named that way. And, I'm excited. I love it that I know that there's an armed officer in that school. He's making friends with the kids, but he's also, I'm sure, and I know mine is a he. He's also basically just saying, hey, we're here, but we're here to help you, keep you safe, but we're also here to help you stay on the right path. And, what better way than having basically an alpha male right there, as an example. And that's
leading the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So what age were you when you were an SRO? What age were you with?
So when I was an SRO, we only had one for the entire school district itself, which we go from kindergarten all the way up till 12th grade. So the SRO handles each school. They sporadically go by, in theory, go by each of the schools throughout their shift. Some days that happens, other days that does not. I was an SRO early in my career with my department, which was back in 2011. So it's been a few years since then. The current SRO now, they've been there for a few years. They're extreme. The SRO program is highly needed. I know they are extremely busy, nonstop all day long with their shift, and they are the link. They're the connection between, if there's an issue with a runaway juvenile, that happen on patrol after the hours of school. By the time the SRO comes in, the SRO can check the attendance. The SRO can get a more family dynamics on the background of this juvenile. The SRO may even know the juvenile on a more personal level than we would on patrol. And then again, when you get to CI as a detective, you start getting cases, juvenile cases, and you have no idea who these juveniles are, especially if they're more middle school age, which is 12 to 14. You have no idea who they are, what their family situation is. And again, the SRO comes in handy for those investigations, piecing little small things together, knowing if the SRO does know the juvenile, they know what clique they're in, where they hang out, what sports they play, what activities they're involved in, what bus they take. So many different things that are it's a connector, and that's so important. The devil's in the detail, and I think the SRO is basically the devil of the detail for law enforcement. That is the glue that holds it all together.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, I used to view him just kind of, I mean, I was this arrogant Army Ranger type. And I'm like, yeah, if you're not kicking down doors, then what good are you, kind of? But now that I've gotten a little older and wiser, I look at these guys and I'm like, I can't say how much I appreciate them, especially with teenage boys.
Yeah.
And boys are just, I've had 2 girls and then followed that with 3 boys. And the 2 girls were just angels compared to what I'm going through now. It's like, I love my boys, but holy cow, man, it's just different. And they have to have positive male role models.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can just go sideways really fast. And especially right around that puberty age when they start, just naturally. I actually heard a psychologist that say it's hardwired into especially boys, but all kids are hardwired to start pushing away from their parents right around the age of 13.
Yeah.
And that's just I think that goes all the way back to the caveman days, basically, just to start pushing away from the family. Otherwise they would just stay in the same cave their whole lives. And then, society would never get created. And so that hardwire, I think most people just don't understand it, because when kids start pushing away, the first reaction, especially for the moms, is like, oh no, come back.
Yeah.
You're my baby and you got to stay around. But, the teenage years is when they start learning how to be men and women, especially. And, if they don't have good guidance and good morals instilled in them by then, boy, it's rough. So
yeah. And congratulations to your son on that 1,000 push-ups. I mean, destroy the record himself. Way to go. Kudos.
Yeah, I think that record's going to stand for a while. When he first came home, he was like, yeah, the day before, a couple days before, he had said, yeah, I set the record, and then my friend beat it, and then it just started escalating, went from like 100, 150 to 100, 200, and he finally just said, screw it, I'm just gonna blow this thing out. And came home one day and he said, yeah, I did. I've got the record now. It's 1,000. And I was like, come on, that's not real. And he goes, no, I did it. I did it all in front of the school resource officer, and he's the one that counted them. So I was like, geez, criminy, that's insane. So yeah, but like I said, the kid's a freak. He was at 3 years old. He was crawling up the door frames and just with his fingertips, and I was like, okay, this kid's, if he doesn't end up some kind of a rock climbing career, he's gonna miss his calling in life. But yeah, kids are awesome, man. I love them.
Yeah.
There's a reason that I have gray hair, and
trust me too.
Yeah, right. It's but that's just because we love them and we care about them, and we want them to have a good, fulfilling life. And without the effort up front, boy, it's harder to correct them on the backside. So,
100%.
well, Clee, let's talk about your podcast for a bit. That's
Sure.
Especially during your live stream, you stopped a few times and you had some commercials in there. So describe some of those commercials.
Yes. So the commercials I have is a character I created, which is Sergeant Be Safe. Sergeant Be Safe is a police officer along with his partner, Captain Chaos. They get into situations during the cartoon skit, which they have to solve the problem. And in solving the problem, they always give some sort of safety tip. And safety tips can be anywhere from not stopping in the roadway, not running the stop sign during a school bus at the beginning of the school year. You have to remind drivers out there. Lately, they've been reminding businesses and people with automobiles to lock their vehicles because now this is the time of year again where theft from autos are rising, and it's not anything coming from it's not people breaking into vehicles per se by you causing damage. They're getting into vehicles because they're left unlocked. So therefore, creating a cartoon with Sergeant Be Safe, Captain Chaos, and you got your bad guys, Rob You Blind, Treacherous Tony, Chance Wilder, to name a few. They're always getting into mischief, and Sergeant Be Safe and Captain Chaos have to catch them and give the safety tips for them. They're about 2-minute long skits. They're a lot of fun to do. The voiceovers are normally on duty or retired, I should say on duty, active or retired law enforcement officers. And I put their names in the credits because I appreciate them donating their time for a good cause.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. They're fun. So do you do the animations?
I do. I have an app that does the animation. It's 2D animation. It is rather cheesy, but it's a lot of fun to do. And getting the motions and the conversation down is somewhat challenging, but it's a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, when you make these safety videos and things, are you dispersing those, or are you just using them yourself?
They're available to watch on YouTube under the Sergeant Be Safe YouTube channel. They're also, I play them during like you said, the podcast as commercial breaks for Black and Blue. I try to keep it down to every half hour. Do a 2-minute commercial break. Starts off with a commercial as well, a video of that. But they're out there. If anyone wants to view them, they're available. There's a YouTube page, which I don't really keep up with. Shame on me. But I'm sorry, the Instagram page, which I don't really keep up with, but the YouTube page I do keep up with. All the videos are uploaded there.
Nice. Well, we'll make sure to include the links
Perfect.
in the show notes. Yeah, that's the funny thing is sometimes the cheesy ones are the ones that actually stick. They'll they may be as you're watching them, you're kind of like, oh man, what's the deal with this? When we're used to this 3D and all sorts of just the incredible animation that you see on Fortnite and some of these games. But you know what? I guarantee the kids just 30 seconds after they turn the Fortnite off, it's gone.
Yeah.
But maybe something like Sergeant Be Safe would stick with them a little bit. And
hopefully.
Yeah. No, I was really impressed when I saw that you were doing that as on top of your podcast, on top of being a police officer, and that's man, that just all adds up. You're a busy man, Clee.
Thank you. Just trying. It's a lot of fun, but it's important to get the word out in one way, form, or another.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you one other question about throughout your career, when you're hanging around just Thanksgiving and things like that, and all of your relatives are like, hey, tell us about a story, something that happened that maybe it's just tragic or maybe it's really funny, but something that people always want to hear at Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving story, or one that I get. when I'm with the family, they want to hear more about the action adventure kind of stories. The ones that living the life that most people don't get to live. And that would be, I would say during my task force days, like you had mentioned, you like to have been the ranger, the kicking indoors and having fun. I remember those days as well. The task force, kind of flying under the radar, being under the books. We got to help out another county's undercover team because all their agents were burnt by this guy. When I say burnt, he recognized all of them. So if he saw their face, he would know that an investigation's going on. So they had to play the background, and they brought us in to continue this investigation. And I remember being at a Walmart in another county, and we're following this guy around, and we're in and out of cars, we're in and out of various stores, and we're watching this guy interact with various people. And it came to the point where we got the signal where we're going to move in. And normally you want a uniformed officer to move in so it doesn't look like it's a chaotic fight of just plainclothes officers with a bad guy fighting. It just doesn't, it's not a good situation for the public to see. So the plainclothes officer was actually at a different location. I guess wires got crossed and things didn't go right. So we got the move in signal and we're waiting and no one's moving in. And we got the move in signal and we're waiting and no one's moving in. And the last thing we wanted to do was have this bad guy make it to the car because it's a lot easier to walk up on someone and politely and peacefully take him into custody as opposed to getting into a car and potentially getting into a vehicle pursuit, which can cause damage, loss of life and property and things like that. We didn't want that to happen. So I'm sitting here watching. The signal goes twice. I don't see anyone moving in. I'm seeing the guy almost make it to his car, and I'm not seeing anyone moving in. So then, therefore, I'm still thinking I'm playing football, and I'm still thinking I'm young and agile. I run up to this guy. I say, "Hold on, hold on." I'm holding. I'm identifying myself. Please don't move. Please don't move. He's got the O factor going. And he takes off. And as he's taking off running, I remember I'm leaping over one car and going head first and tackling him to the ground. And we finally get him into custody. No one's hurt. He was actually like, you know what? Good game. I'm the bad guy. It's your job to catch me. You're the good guy. It's your job to investigate. So, we had to play each other's parts. Good game. It's a lot of fun. I didn't know in the process that I jammed one of my fingers into the cement while falling. So the next day when my finger was swollen and I couldn't bend it, I had to go back and talk to the commanding officer and say, hey, we helped out another county's task force and therefore this happened. And I think I need to go sit to our doctor because I think I broke my finger. And so, needless to say, he wasn't too happy because this one, the report was filed in another county, which I had to get a copy of that report to file in with the claim and go see our doctor. And we had a interesting conversation, but it turned out very good. But it was just one of the more happier, peaceful endings. One of the crazier stories that kind of took place that is able to be shared. It was a lot of fun to be in. It took all day. It was an all day situation. It came down to 30 seconds of fun at the very end. And it was all from a miscommunication from where the patrol was to where we were. And they were saying they were going to move in. They're on the other intercom saying, where are we moving into? We don't see any action going on. It was a chaotic mess, but that always seems to happen often.
How many times does it actually, it's just semi-controlled chaos, but when you said the waiting all day for that 30 seconds of fun, boy, that reminded me of all my military days. How many months do we schedule and train for that one or 2 day op, in the back 40 and, but that's the fun when you actually get to, rappel out of the helicopters and and all that fun stuff. So, or, jump out of the airplane, whatever. That's, it's all good stuff. So, I was hoping when we first met that, maybe we had served on the same base at one point, but, my active duty career was only at Fort Campbell. So um, I got tired of it pretty quick. I was like, I, I just can't dredge through 20 years of this. There's
Yeah.
just no way. Plus, I don't think my wife would have tolerated it. Honestly, she was, she didn't enjoy being an Army wife too much, but there's a
I
special
understand.
people that can
Yeah.
actually do a full 20 years at that. Tell
Yeah.
you. So, all
Yeah.
right, brother.
And
Well, anything else that that comes to mind that you think the folks would be interested in?
again, I say again, always protect yourself. Always be kind to your neighbor. Lock your doors at night, vehicle and businesses. Make sure that we have the common ring cameras and um, lights. I can't think of the actual names. Motion sensor lights for businesses. Make sure that you guys are protecting your family, your property, and your businesses. So therefore, crimes of opportunity will be less and less because you're actually taking a more proactive stance and protecting yourself and your business and families. And
You know
again,
what?
Derek,
That
I thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I got to follow up with that because based on your experience,
Mm-hmm.
what percent of crimes do you think are targets of opportunity versus actually planned out? Because I just my and the reason I ask because you know I think most people are actually good people, and
Mm-hmm.
then they'll see something that it's kind of like the little kid in the candy store or
Mm-hmm.
in a grocery store that and this actually happened when I was a little kid. I remember my older brother sitting in the back of the car, and all of a sudden he's eating a candy bar, and my parents were in the front, and I was like, "Hey, where, mom? Why do you get my brother a candy bar and you didn't get me one?" And she's like, "I didn't get your brother a candy bar." And so next thing you know, we're turning around and driving back to the store, and my dad's marching my brother in there to apologize to the store manager for him,
Mm-hmm.
helping himself to a candy bar. Well,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, that was the one day that I was glad I didn't have any candy.
I bet.
That for my brother, that was a bad day. But anyway, you know, he just, I think, I don't think he was old enough to really understand that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that you actually have to pay for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he saw a candy bar. He's like, he wanted it, and so he grabbed it. Well,
Yeah.
I think there's a high percentage of crimes that are committed with kind of that same mindset,
Mm-hmm.
where basically, people look at something and they're saying, "Oh man, that car's unlocked," and there's a wallet right there. There's nobody around,
Yeah.
and just so they just open the car door and grab it really quick.
Yeah.
So in your experience, what percent do you think is actually like that versus the guy that wakes up in the morning and says, "You know what, I'm going to go find some car to break into"?
In my experience, I would say 75 to maybe even 85% of crimes of theft and property damage or property crimes happen because they're crimes of opportunity. That it's a piece of property that no one's paying attention to, doesn't have the proper alarm system, doesn't have the proper locking system, is not secured properly, doesn't have the proper video cameras or anything like that, left unsecure, unlocked, just so many different things where the victim's like, wow, I never thought this would happen to me. I don't normally even lock these doors because no one's here. Things like that. It's a high percentage because it's available. If you take away the availability, a lot of those crimes, you'd see crime numbers drop significantly from my experience.
Yeah, I would think so.
Mm-hmm.
Just most people just aren't the career criminal type. I mean, they're just
Yeah.
normal people that get on, just trying to get on with their day and
Yeah.
make something happen. And you got to just kind of wonder, that very first one, oh, that they get away with it, and then they're like, oh, that was easy. So then they can get away with more, and that's just kind of escalates from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, just interesting, and obviously that very thing is why you make your Sergeant Be Safe videos. Hopefully that gets to the younger generation and the young kids, and just teach them to stay on the right path from the very beginning.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, brother. Well, like I said, I'll make sure to include everything in the show notes so everybody can click on, your links and things. But if you're listening out there, make sure to tune in to Black and Blue with Clee Tilman, and definitely jump on his YouTube channel and check out all of his content. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
The couple that I've been able to see been really entertaining. So, Clee, I appreciate everything you do, man.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on the show, Jerry. You're a great guy. You're doing a great thing as well. And we got to get you on the Black and Blue podcast as well, and we'll share your viewpoints. Thank you for taking the time out. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, you just name it, brother.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.